The Dark Lord Sauron is intent upon reclaiming his throne at Dol Guldur. The Lord of the Nazgul travels to the tower in preparation for his master's return, clearing the path of any who oppose him.
The Dark Lord will reclaim his throne. We must clear this forest of all who would oppose the Master's return. An encampment lies to the south. Slay them all.
It is also here that we are introduced to a brand new villain, the Lord of the Nazgul, the Witch King for short. He is quite the useful bastard actually, because he possesses a passive ability which weakens the unit. It reduces their armor values by, what, 2 points? How much was it? Oh yeah, 2 points. So for those poor bastards who only have 0 or 1 point of armor, they go into the minus. And for these elf wardens, it goes straight down to 1, which helps tremendously. It doesn't matter who you're facing off with, this debuff is permanent and helpful. We'll definitely be needing this pool of resources for ourselves, but what makes me wonder is what the hell were the workers doing here if we don't even have a stronghold? Were they actually walking all the way back home? Weirdos. We also come across some new units, the Wraiths. They are our team's detector units. It may not seem like they are of great use. In fact, they are weaker than the Rangers. But trust me, they will prove a valuable asset in the future. Right now, not so much. Let's see. Yep, that should about cover everything I need.
No rest! Faster!
No rest for the wicked. Oh, that needs quite a bit of resources.
Yes, my master.
God damn it. Here we go.
Who needs my whip? Yes, my lord.
Here we go. Hey, what the hell are you doing?
Don't hurt me. I go.
Bloody elves. I mean, it's understandable that they attack us. We are in the middle of Mirkwood, but come on. I'm just building my shack here. Be a little bit more understanding, would you? Bastard. Anyway, it is at this very moment that you also have to address the fact that this is indeed the Lord of the Nazgul we're dealing with. He possesses the ability to see Frodo when he uses the One Ring, and he also has some special abilities that we did not have access to, nor will we actually give a shit about them. Particularly Shadow Walk. It just allows the Nazgul to teleport himself and any nearby Wraiths or Black Riders to a war post of your choice. Honestly, I think it's kind of a shitty power. It doesn't do anything useful. Like, if you want to set up a decent teleportation system like that, you would have to set up warp posts in places where they could be dangerous to protect. Although, if you could get it set up right, you could be able to make yourself a pretty nifty way of ambushing your enemy with some of the more dangerous forces that are available to you at the time. Because Black Riders can be quite the dangerous enemy to deal with, especially when they have the Morgul blades. Which is something that we do not possess at the moment. Oh, come on now. This is just getting out of hand. Mind your own business, we're redecorating this place. Silly bastards. Thank God for the Lord's debuffs, we haven't lost a single unit so far. And now we're able to make some replacements. We could definitely use some archers. Let's build ourselves the Dark Arsenal as well while we're at it. It'll prove mighty useful.
Time for blood.
Come on, here we go. And while we're at it, I think we should also build a tower whenever we're able to.
What?
That'll definitely prove to be useful. Seeing as how these cunts like to attack us a lot, I think we'll find that a fully powered up tower is to their liking.
By Sauron's will.
Let's see. That's what annoys me. I can clearly see that I have some space there, but for some reason I just can't build onto it. Oh, and now I don't have enough money for a tower. And now I do.
They are doomed.
Yeah, beat the shit out of those damn wardens. Slap them silly. Nice. That takes care of that. We got 3 wraiths. At the moment they're pretty basic detector units, which for some reason have arrow for an attack type. I don't know why. They don't use ranged attacks.
Yes.
Maybe it's just supposed to signify how weak they are on their own. Who knows and who cares? What they are good for at the moment is being placed inside towers. And hell, anything that can be placed into towers that is not entirely useful, well, why not? Let's get some upgrades too while we're at it. We have plenty of resources at the moment. We should be able to handle the situation rather nicely. I think we only have access to 1 tier of weapons and armor. In this mission we're also introduced to level 2 of the Fortress of Mordor. But it's only really necessary if you want to make more wraiths. And, well, gain access to the Warg Riders. To the Warg Riders upgrades, I mean, not the Warg Riders. What the fuck? We might need this, actually. I'm gonna work on that. Alright. Now that we have these towers set up, we can do some serious damage to any of these bastards that decide to pay us a visit without a proper invitation. Seriously guys, if you want to visit us, just ask. Barging in is kinda rude. How much? Ah, here we go. We have access to this. I'm gonna build a beast lair because I believe they will find it to be very useful in due time. while we're at it, let us explore. Ah, here we go. Got some suckers lured in. I've noticed that the Lord of the Nazgul is considerably faster than the Warg Riders, or maybe even the same old Rohan Riders. This would need a bit more testing, as I'm not quite sure of it myself, but it does feel like it. It does feel like he's the fastest horseman out there, and that could be a pretty neat perk to have, I would say. The fastest horse in the Wild West. This guy can build this. That over there is the breeding pit. It provides upgrades to the Warg Riders and some other units which we do not yet possess. But we will soon enough. We sure love using these elf wardens. No wonder they're inaccessible during normal play. We got all killed off. Losers. Right, I think we got enough.
Yes.
Think we got enough warriors to do the job. The rest that show up will count as reinforcements. Let's go explore. What is our objective at the moment? Bring the Lord of Nazgul through Mirkwood. So it's a very vague objective. Speaking of vagueness, this is a very interesting looking camp. Contains tons of resources, but it also happens to be on the way to your base.
Help us! Help us!
Oh, great.
The elves will destroy our nests. Protect us, dark ones, and we will serve you. Then we are allies.
Well, I do like that the negotiations are very swift and fruitful, but... Really? I mean, we just met. Whatever you do, make sure the Wraith does not get killed off. After all, he's a very valuable asset of ours. But here we have access to a brand new unit. The Giant Spider. At the moment, the Giant Spider contains some upgrades, which are actually very useful. The Giant Spider is a pretty weak unit all by himself. However, he is not supposed to be used for offense rather than for support, as at the moment, the Spider contains the Paralyze ability. The ability allows the Spider to paralyze the enemy upon touch. How is that useful, you might wonder? Well, I'm glad you asked. As long as the Spider keeps biting his target, he can't attack. It's possible to make it a pretty permanent paralysis. However, there is an upgrade to that, which allows the paralysis to become an active ability. Well, that is the drawback of it. It becomes an active ability. The plus side of it is that this active ability happens to be of a much wider range. So if you kinda give a shit about that kind of stuff, I would suggest to look at it. I personally prefer the passive ability more. Sure, it takes up a bit of space for you, and it may not be very helpful. But does it really matter at the end? Considering that the spiders are very, very useful at keeping enemies, well, less than interested in doing anything with their lives, I think we got ourselves a pretty good deal.
Who needs my whip?
I don't know, I've never found the active ability of mass paralysis to be very useful. I'm gonna take advantage of this camp. Having one well-maintained camp is nice and all, but what if we had two well-maintained camps which can feed into our needs? Let us move on. Pretty sure the units had enough time to rejuvenate. What's going on over here? Ah, I know what's going on over here. Opposition. Wait a minute. What happened? Oh, you son of a cocksucker. Hurry up in there, you stupid Wraith. You're getting killed off by invisible elves. No, I'm not believing in his death yet. Much better. It wasn't as good as I had planned, but whatever. I'm not quite fond of going all by myself with this small troop, so let's send some reinforcements in. I'm not sure if that cave actually spawns spiders. I remember it did, but now it doesn't seem to do much.
Ready. Fast as I can.
Oh, we could use another rejuvenation wave. But they're already good, so that's not necessary. Okay, now we have two camps going, so in case of a need to kill, we are quite prepared. These guys will join with the rest of the group and we can move on.
We serve Sauron.
I find that Lord of the Nazgul is kinda difficult to level up due to the nature of his, well, stats and everything. He's kinda squishy despite being a mount, well, a mounted unit. I don't know. What I do know is that once you level him up properly, he does become quite the ferocious fighter. A force to be reckoned with. Not all of the archers are fighting. Unacceptable. There we go. Now that is very nice. Very nice. The destruction of this enemy camp will serve as an example to all the other elves out in this area that we mean business. And boy, do we mean it. Oh, looks like we managed to get 5 levels for Lord of the Nazgul. That's great.
The elves have been purged from the woods. The path is clear. Onward to Dol Guldur.
With the path to Dol Guldur clear, the Lord of the Nazgul made preparations for Sauron's return. His next tasks were to annihilate the elves who inhabited Dol Guldur and reclaim the fortress in the name of Lord Sauron.
And that takes care of this mission. Pretty easy. But keep in mind, these are some of the first few missions we're dealing with here. This one, on the other hand, well, let's just say it gets a bit more interesting.